this far and you've colored the face and you've got the parts all separated, they're colored, the character's colored, you should have a couple layers here, at least that paint layer and the background layer. To compress them all down into one layer, you're going to hit Control, Shift, and E, like everything. And that should make them into one layer. That's going to merge them all. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over and find our magic wand. If we can't find it, W is the shortcut, but again, remember your magic wand might be hiding underneath something called the object selection tool. It's usually the fourth one down. We want to switch to the magic wand. We want to click on the white area. And when you click on the white area, it should select all of the continuous color that doesn't change, but like this one over here has some, like, I guess, a corner that doesn't look so great. So what I want you to do is you go up while you have the magic wand and switch the tolerance. Make the tolerance larger number. Don't do it by like 2 or 3. Do it by like, 20s or 30s. In this case, I'm going to turn my tolerance up to 60. And I'll try it again. You see, this time it's done a better job of outlining. It even got all this stuff. It's a nice tight outline around all my pieces. At this point, I want to make sure, number one, that my layer, that one layer I have, is unlocked. And then I'm going to hit delete. If you did all of that correctly, backspace or delete, if you do that correctly, you should be looking at your drawing with no white background. To get rid of that moving outline, you can hit Control D. Next, we are going to take this and put this in a new file. So first we're going to select all. That is Control A for all. And you'll see there's a sort of outline box around everything. Then we're going to do Control C to copy it. Then we're going to go to File in the top menu and go to New. When the new document window opens up, we're looking at all the options up here where it says photo, print, illustration, mobile. We want film and video. And under film and video, the very first default is HDTV 1080p. Right next to it is 720p. We want to switch to 720. It's a slightly smaller file size, which hopefully means your computer won't be that laggy because video editing takes up a lot of memory. I'll hit create when I'm done. You should have a white page out in front of you. It may have all these little guidelines on it. These little blue lines they're not really there. They're guidelines just to let you know if you were doing a graphic that had words and things like that, that inside here would be a little bit too close to the edge of the screen. It might get cut off. Next, I'm going to go ahead and paste that thing in. So Control V. Remember we copied it a while ago. Here we go with the paste. What you're going to notice for almost each and every one of you is what you paste into this thing is really huge. Your camera should be at a higher resolution than this video file is. So when you paste it in, it might look gigantic. That is okay. That is what I expected. To resize this, you hit Control T, like transform. Okay? And you can go ahead now, once you have the transform options, and resize this thing and try to center it. If you want to make it a little bit bigger than what it was, like I don't think I need all of his chest in there, it's better that the bottom portion of this character kind of goes off the edge of the page. And don't make them too small. We will add a background, but we don't need to add that much background. What we're going to do now is that we have to cut all these pieces up so they're all independent of one another. If I grab the move tool right now and try to move it, everything is all together because they're all on the same layer. To take them off the same layer, I'm going to go ahead. I can do this a couple different ways, and I will. Number one, I'll grab the rectangular marquee. That one was the one we used to make a square, a selected area for square. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select around these eyes. It doesn't matter how much space I take in and around it, as long as I'm not accidentally cutting into like the head. So I've selected around the eyes. To cut something, obviously Control C is copy. So Control X is cut. If you do it correctly, the eyes should disappear off the screen. To bring them back is Control V. That will paste them. They will paste to the middle of the page, but you'll notice when you look over here, they're on their own layer, and we can move them around independently of the rest of the face. So I'll put this to the side, and I'm going to go to that layer 2. Since we're going to have a bunch of layers, I'm going to rename that layer, and I'll give it a specific name. So like in this case, I'll call it crossed eyes. Okay? I'll go back to my original layer 1 where everything else is. This time I'm going to use the polygon lasso tool. So I might have things that are too close to one another and I can't get them with the rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead with my polygon lasso tool. I can select whatever I want. One of the things to know is, again, it doesn't matter how much extra space you take. What you want to make sure is you don't take part of the head or part of another mouth. Control X, Control V, give it a specific name. In this case, I'll call this red teeth. Okay. Grab my move tool. Grab my move tool and I'll move it to the side. I'll go back to the original layer. I'll go ahead and I'll grab the elliptical marquee. I'll make a circle around this one. I'll do Control X, Control V. This one I'll just call smiling. Okay. And I'll move that to the side. And I'll just do all the rest of them real quick for you. Rectangle marquee, select, Control X to cut it, Control V to paste it. These I'll call it doesn't have a regular set of eyes. I'm just going to call these regular eyes. Okay, that's going to be my regular set. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the last bit. Is this open mouth. Control X, Control V. And I'll just call this one open mouth. When I'm done with this, what I want to do is I'm going to grab the move tool. I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to grab the regular eyes. And when you place them, they kind of like snap around. They don't like stop exactly where you want them to stop. But when you drop them, you can move them with the arrow keys and kind of nudge them over exactly the way you want it. I'm going to go ahead and start with this like regular, like closed mouth, regular eyes. And what I want to do is I'm going to get the regular eyes. I have my move tool on auto select. I'm going to go to my layer window and I'm going to move the regular eyes all the way up. And I'm going to put the rest of the eyes up top. I'm going to keep the rest of the mouths on the bottom. And then with the last layer, that layer 1 here, which is the face, I'm just going to rename that one face. All right. And once I have that all set up, and it looks like what you see right now, I'll make sure I save this because it's never been saved before. You can call it face animation, whatever you want to call it, but there it is. And I'll click save. And that's what we're doing right now. We're going to get this far. And then tomorrow I'm going to go over how to make this character start blinking or looking down or smiling or talking.